Ahead on Up with KREM, a win in Washington state against online betting market Kalshi. What local tribes are saying about the crackdown.
Plus, a look at the forecast where temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler, and we're also going to be seeing some calmer winds.
Plus, have you ever asked ChatGPT or Claude a question about your finances? Lots of Americans have, but before you make any money moves based on a chatbot's advice, listen to an expert. Some do's and don'ts ahead. Good morning to everyone out there in the inland Northwest. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Brandon T. Jones. We want to go ahead and get right on over to the Weather Center with Jenny Power because Jenny, today seems like the first day it finally cools off just a little bit.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon. And it's crazy to think that when we're talking about temperatures, the mid 80s are cool. But compared to all of last week, yes, it is. We're finally getting a break from the 90s. We're looking at 84 degrees this afternoon in Spokane. Plenty of sunshine, and we're also going to be seeing some lighter winds. So pretty decent start here to a new week as well as we move into Monday, as highs will continue to be in the mid 80s. Plenty of sunshine on our future tracker. Conditions are still going to be dry, however, but not quite as gusty as what we were dealing with yesterday. Here's a look at some of those winds. At times it will be a little bit breezy through late afternoon as well as early evening, where we could be seeing gusts around 20 miles per hour. But overall, we're looking at conditions to definitely be improved compared to where we were at yesterday. Moving forward and into tomorrow, our winds are going to calm down even further. A look through our extended forecast this upcoming week, it is going to be mostly dry, which is typical for the end of July and early August. Highs continuing, though, to be closer to normal in the mid 80s. When we could see those temperatures jump back up, though, that's a look in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Jenny. We'll check back in later. And a traffic alert for your commute tomorrow. WashDOT is demolishing the Hanson Road Overpass Bridge in Moses Lake tomorrow. And bad news for drivers: during demolition, there will be a full closure on I-90 for several days. A look at those detours. Eastbound I-90 travelers will need to take Hiawatha Road at exit 169 and use the frontage road to access the south side of I-90. Westbound travelers on I-90 may use the off and on ramps to continue onto I-90. Keep in mind, westbound traffic cannot access the south side of I-90 and must use exit 169 onto Hiawatha Road and turn around. If you're headed that way, be sure to give yourself some extra time. Well, Washington's Attorney General scored an early win in court against the online prediction market Kalshi. A King County judge found that Kalshi likely violated the state's Gambling Act. Kalshi has been operating a gambling platform here in Washington, allowing people to bet money on everything from sports and elections to other real-world events. State officials argue the company has been taking bets in Washington without a gambling license. We talked to a local casino director about the decision.
Be careful in pursuing any online gaming at all in Washington State. It's been illegal for several years. A lot of companies present as legal, and however they are not. So I'd be really careful in who you engage with. I think a lot of folks in the industry feel like Kalshi and others in the CFTC or commodities market have really manipulated the rules to their benefit to offer gambling or gaming rather than true commodities trading.
The ruling is not the final word, but it orders Kalshi to preserve records as the lawsuit moves forward. Well, these days, more Americans are turning to artificial intelligence for everyday questions and for help with their finances. But before you let a chatbot weigh in on your money moves, there are some important do's and don'ts. CBS News has more.
In a recent study looking at Americans' use of generative AI, 66% said they've turned to it for financial advice. If you're thinking about using AI to help manage your money, it's important to follow these guidelines. First, do not share sensitive personal information, including social security numbers, account numbers, tax details, and of course, passwords. These platforms aren't regulated like financial institutions, so your information could be stored or reused in ways you can't control, putting you at risk of fraud or identity theft. That said, AI often provides helpful overviews and general information, operating like a smarter search engine. You can ask AI to explain the difference between a Roth and traditional IRA, how compound interest works, or even to help evaluate 2 different job offers with 2 different benefit packages. But AI can't account for nuance, and it doesn't owe you a fiduciary duty, so it should not replace customized professional financial advice. To make your experience better, look at the URL sources for the information provided. Try to stick to identifiable ones like government sites or large financial company sites rather than someone's blog. When it comes to your finances, let AI help with the homework, but don't let it make the final decision. In New York, I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Well, happy weekend, my friends. We hope you are taking advantage of all of the free time you've got on your hands in the long summer days to enjoy some fun out on the town. But here's what's up in your first weekend What's Up. Join the cycle celebration today at Mirabeau Park in Spokane Valley. There's 3 different routes for each level of rider: a family-friendly 10-mile ride, a 25-mile adventurous ride, and a 50-mile hills around the valley route. The 50 miles starts at 8 a.m. Next up, the Orchard Crest Classic Car Show is today. They will have a fantastic collection of classic vehicles and a fun-filled day with the community. All right, we've got more here on Up with KREM. So just ahead, Americans are scrolling instead of socializing, and it's affecting your health. From seniors in high school to senior citizens. That story in 10 minutes. But first, we're learning more about what happened at the Longview paper mill the day of its deadly implosion. How the 11 workers killed that day tried to stop the spill. We're learning more about what happened after that massive tank implosion at a Longview paper mill in May. The disaster killed 11 workers and injured several others. A new report submitted to the Washington Department of Ecology describes how the spill quickly spread and how workers faced a no-win situation trying to contain the chemicals. Here's more.
A newly released report from Nippon Dynawave Packaging details the deadly spill at its Longview paper mill on May 26th. The report, submitted to state regulators, describes how a storage tank known as G-Tank failed, resulting in a spill of about 900,000 gallons of white liquor, a caustic chemical used in the paper-making process. 11 workers died in the disaster, and several others were injured. According to the company, the massive spill damaged a nearby fire main, adding water to the spill and allowing contaminated liquid to spread across a much larger area than initially expected. This map, provided by Nippon Dynawave, shows the spill covered about 12 acres of mill property. The report says plant workers took immediate steps to limit environmental damage, but faced a no-win situation. Keeping pumps running risked sending contaminated liquid toward the Columbia River, but shutting them off caused other areas to overflow and allowed the spill to reach storm drains and nearby drainage ditch.
I think the operators handled it just about as well as it could have been handled.
Industrial safety expert Mike Schmidt of Bluefield Process Safety says plant workers found a balance in managing the spill that helped avoid an environmental catastrophe.
They were sending what little they could directly to the Columbia River, and then they were basically using their paved area as a collection pond.
The report also outlines cleanup and decontamination efforts, but one thing it doesn't say: what caused the storage tank to fail. Nippon Dynawave said it's working with state and federal investigators to identify the cause of the disaster.
Plus, I'm tracking the forecast here, where we are seeing some slightly cooler temperatures and also some calmer winds today.
Good morning, and happy weekend. Hope you're waking up and having a good start to your weekend, or a good morning to your weekend anyway. We are talking about tools to schools today. And people are like, why are you talking about back to school? We are in the thick of summer. Well, a couple of reasons. One, we have a lot of fundraising to do to make sure our kids are ready for school. And two, a lot of kids start in just over a month. In fact, Spokane Public Schools, I had to look at the calendar a couple of different times because we're just over a month away from the first day of class for many kids around the region. So that's why we are fundraising from now through August. We have to make sure our kids have what they need to get started, and then it's an ongoing process throughout the year to make sure that they keep the things they need. So a couple of things I want to talk about this year that are maybe a little bit different. Historically, we always wanted to stuff 2,000 backpacks, give them out with communities and schools, and that was great. And we are still working to make some of those backpacks, hundreds if not thousands of them, to give out. But the idea of tools, that word, it's expanded. It is no longer just backpacks or just pencils. It can mean snacks or hygiene products. That's one of the top things they need, hygiene products for kids. We're working with communities and schools and our partners at Office Depot to get kids whatever it is they need to make way for a more successful entry and time at school. So they're not only there at school just sitting there, they're learning and enjoying. So a couple of different ways you can give them. We have some new things this year. When you walk into Office Depot, you can do a couple of different things. You can I made a $1 donation. I just handed them $1, and you can fill out your name or your kid's name and hang it up here. You even get a sticker, kind of like I voted, but it's I gave and supported our kids. So that's a really easy way to give back. If you're here shopping for supplies, you'll walk in, you'll see a table like this, and you can pick up one of these packets. They have all different price points. You take it, they'll ring you up when they're ringing up your items. And so this represents what a $5 donation would look like for a local kid. So these are a great way, a great value for you to know that your money is being used and kind of getting an idea of what it's being used for. You can also go to KREM.com, super easy, make an online donation. That all goes to communities and schools to buy what they need for kids, our local kids. Communities and schools, by the way, a nonprofit that we work with, they are in 29 different schools where there are a lot of financial challenges. Okay, and then the third way to give, which is new this year, a lot of fun, you can go on KREM.com, get your phone, and scan this QR code. And of course, while I'm over here, it's going to be hard. Hold on one second. Nope, I'm going to do it again. It actually works very easy. There we go. Trying to do too many things. And a wish list comes up that communities and schools and Office Depot have developed. You can order what you want directly for the kids. And it can be everything like they have fluoride, which is, again, they have toothpaste rather, a very needed item. They have backpacks. They have anything you want. And you pick out. So maybe have your kids get involved and you can buy something for a local child. I'm here with Randy Martins with Office Depot. He is a manager here, and you are in a little bit of a competition with your other store, which I love.
We are.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So how's the competition going? Are you battling it out? And it's all for the kids, so it's all in good fun.
We are. And without a doubt, we know that Spokane's going to beat the Valley every single time. So I just say keep on coming in and let me rub it in their face a little bit.
Just a skosh.
Just a little.
I love Randy. You're so into it. Joe over at the other store, he's so into it because you know it's going to local kids.
It is, and it's a great cause. It's something that Office Depot's had a long time relationship with us, so it's fun for us too.
Excellent. Good luck to you. Good luck to the Valley. I love them both. No favorites here. One of the things I want to point out, kind of funny to me, some of the old things are still the biggest thing. We've got Spider-Man. There on the other side, there's Hello Kitty, strawberry shortcake. That's from my era. So if you would like to donate and give a little bit of nostalgia to it, or if you would like to just get some fresh supplies, or if you just want to give some cash so that they can buy what they need at communities and schools, we appreciate your help. Tools to Schools. It is going on now through August, and we want to make sure our kids have what they need. I'll send it back to you.
Well, thanks so much for joining us here on this Sunday. It's time to get a look at the forecast where temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler compared to where we have been at previously. We are going to see highs in the mid 80s, which is definitely some relief, but also still on the warmer side. It will be mostly sunny out there as winds are going to be a little bit calmer as well, yet we're still dealing with some haze and some wildfire smoke out there. So in our future tracker, it is going to be a mostly clear day for the inland Northwest. Plenty of sunshine. The only thing we have to worry about are some hazy conditions up toward parts of Northeast Washington and in the North Idaho Panhandle. But we hang on to a mostly dry and clear forecast throughout the day today. We'll watch for some partly cloudy skies for tomorrow and the start of the new work week. Winds throughout the day today are going to be calmer compared to where we were at yesterday when we were seeing those strong gusts. It is still going to be a little bit breezy at times, but wind gusts through this evening will be closer to about 20 miles per hour compared to yesterday's 40-mile-per-hour winds. As we move forward here and take a look at your temperatures, we're in the mid 80s for Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, upper 80s for Moses Lake. We've even got some low 90s south to Richland, so cooler compared to where we've been at for the past week. As we take a look across the nation, we're looking at a high of triple digits for Phoenix, Salt Lake, as well as Denver, Dallas, Tulsa, and Lincoln. So across the United States, it is definitely hot. We sit in the mid 80s here. Doesn't look too bad. We're looking at upper 60s for San Francisco. As we move forward into next week, what we're preparing to see here is the continuation of a dry forecast. So we will see plenty of sunshine. Temperatures by the end of this coming week are going to climb back up into the upper 80s to low 90s. So trending still a little bit more warmer than our normal. But overall, we're preparing to see a calmer week here ahead of us as far as those weather conditions go, especially after a very active past week. Now, you can always stream our live local radar as well as get updates on the forecast whenever you like for free on the KREM 2 app. You can download it on your TV or your phone.
Well, Americans are hanging out less than they used to, and it's not just teenagers. New numbers show the drop-off is happening across every age group. Ivan Rodriguez has been digging into the data and talked to a psychologist who says while we are lonely, we may not be lonely enough to want to make a change.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks how we spend our days, and its newest time use survey found Americans are now down to just 35 minutes a day socializing in 2025, compared to 41 minutes a decade ago.
15 years ago, the younger people, 15 to 24, they had some of the best mental health, and now they have some of the worst.
Meanwhile, Gallup finds teens are spending an average of nearly 5 hours a day on social media apps like TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. Time that used to go to people, now going to screens. Marissa Franco says it's almost like we're getting fed snacks of connection instead of getting fed an entire meal.
We're finding ourselves, especially these younger generations, are finding themselves looking to fulfill that need for connection and turning towards social media, which is giving them enough of a felt sense of a connection or even distraction from the underlying feelings of loneliness that they don't ultimately hit rock bottom enough to reach out and find connection.
Franco says the ultimate cost isn't only measured in minutes, it shows up in the body.
The most commonly cited statistic, chronic loneliness is as toxic as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, which is wild because who's smoking 15 cigarettes a day? But people are spending weeks on end feeling so lonely.
If there's one thing we can do for our mental and physical health, it's finding social connection, Franco says.
It is critical. It is the oxygen that we need.
Well, he's become a household name. I'm sure you've seen him by now. That's Jimothy right there. And coming up, we talk to the woman who captured that viral video of Seattle's favorite raccoon. Jimothy the raccoon has taken over headlines all across the world, all across the country. He's got a rare congenital spinal deformity that compresses his vertebrae. And after someone spotted him in Seattle's Ballard neighborhood and posted a video on TikTok, Jimothy quickly became internet gold. Alex McLoone talked to the woman who captured that initial viral video.
In an alley tucked behind trash cans, Jimothy the raccoon is hard to spot, but around the world, he's hard to miss.
I do go to that Ballard Goodwill frequently, so I'm like, maybe I'll be on the lookout when I go over there.
Jory Cheshire came to get a glimpse.
So cute.
There'll be a little more foot traffic coming back here.
Rebecca Sorensen asked her friend Andy to paint the latest character in a cast of Pacific Northwest characters in the back of her ceramic studio. She says she saw Jimothy months ago outside her house.
I told our entire neighborhood that we had a chupacabra in the alley.
Wildlife experts believe Jimothy is a male raccoon with a congenital spine condition that shortens his body. The attention has grown far beyond anything Kiana Hall expected when she recorded him during an evening walk Monday.
I thought he was a cat, actually, at first, and that's why I was recording, because I just love cats. He had come out from under a car, and I wanted to see what the cat looked like, and then I realized that wasn't the shape of a cat.
Jimothy felt like a fitting name, she says. From the Mariners tipping their cap to the University of Washington jokingly awarding him a degree, everyone seems to be jumping aboard the Jimothy train.
I love the ones that the public libraries are making.
People are looking for some fun and some irreverence, and he's just adorable.
Some are making the admiration permanent. Electric Kitten tattoo owner Laura Exley is getting ready for 3 appointments and has 10 more people asking about Jimothy tattoos.
I think because, you know, he's dealing with life a little bit differently, and he seems to be fine, and I think that resonates with a lot of us.
Andrew Miller's mural lives among orcas, herons, and Henry's creatures.
I love the way that Ballard has really attached itself to it. I had just looked at all the videos, maybe done some little screen captures, and just kind of found one that worked.
Just days after being introduced to the internet, just about everybody loves Jimothy for who he is.
I just hope that this encourages people to walk around their neighborhood and just look at what's around them.
It's one of the most special days of your life, your wedding day. But rising costs are pushing more couples to tie the knot at the courthouse, and that story is in just 10 minutes. This morning on Up with KREM, all of Spokane County could soon have a moratorium on data centers, but not everyone thinks it's a good idea. We break down both sides. Plus, America's Christmas tree is going to come from right here in the inland Northwest, why the hunt for the U.S. Capitol's perfect tree begins now.
We saved money this way.
And new this morning, couples saving money and saying I do at the courthouse, why they say it's worth it, and how courthouses are keeping up with rising demand. Good morning and thank you for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Brandon T. Jones. Over in the Weather Center, we've got Jenny Power here. And Jenny, it's been a hot week, but things finally look like the trends are starting to change.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon. And I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about when we talk about mid-80s that is cooler. It by all means is still going to be warm outside, but after last week's high heat, yes, mid-80s is definitely cooler compared to what we've been seeing. And we'll continue to see that as we move forward here into the beginning of the week, as this week in general is expected to be calmer. We're seeing lighter winds today, but it is going to be a mostly dry forecast here moving forward. We are preparing to see plenty of sunshine, mostly clear skies, and it is going to continue to be dry. So if you are making any Sunday plans, looking at some fairly mild weather conditions as we move into this afternoon, winds are going to be a little bit elevated at times, a little bit breezy, near 20-mile-per-hour gusts coming out of the west-southwest toward parts of central Washington, but definitely calmer compared to what we were dealing with at this time yesterday. As we move forward and continue to get you ready for this upcoming week, across the region, we are going to be looking at highs that will be here in the mid-80s. So as we take a look at that, what you need to be prepared for are some upper 80s in central Washington, low 90s in Richland, as well as through the LC Valley, when we could potentially, though, see a bigger warm-up. That's coming up in my extended forecast. But with the high temperatures, it's important to make sure you're listening to your body. So here are some signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. In hot weather, you'll want to watch the signs of heat-related illnesses. So what symptoms should you look out for? Well, if it's heat exhaustion, you may experience dizziness, thirst, heavy sweating, or nausea. For heat stroke, it's confusion and unconsciousness. Either way, medical staff says you need to call 911 immediately.
Well, it's only July, but the hunt for the perfect Christmas tree, it's already on. That search for the U.S. Capitol's tree is right here in the inland Northwest. KREM 2's Christian Garza reports from Potlatch.
While it may be the middle of summer, all these wonderful trees.
Jim Kaufman, the executive director for the U.S. Capitol Grounds and Arboretum, is working with U.S. Forest officials to select this year's Christmas tree for the Capitol lawn. A task, I'm told, feels like finding a pine needle in a haystack.
And everybody says, well, you're going through a forest and that's an easy thing to do. It's not.
Kaufman will be here all week long looking for the perfect tree across the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest's over 4 million acres of land. He says he's looking for a tree that's between 50 and 70 feet tall, a beautiful pyramidal shape, and a tree that is healthy enough to travel not only across the country, but stay alive throughout the holidays.
It's not just a tree, it's representing people from around the country, the forest, the beautiful outdoors, the importance of land stewardship, and it's bringing that to the Capitol.
The search itself is a joint effort representing a partnership between Congress and the U.S. Forest Service that dates back to the 1970s.
It brings me a lot of pride.
Gregory Jonan works for the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest and is also the tree and trailer lead for the project. He says although the selection process for where the tree comes from is a rotation between all the U.S. national forests, it still means a lot to know that the beauty of Idaho will be represented on a national stage like this.
It's cool that we, in our little corner of the world, get to supply this Christmas tree to not just the Capitol, but to the nation, to the people of America, and especially on this, the 250th anniversary of the United States.
U.S. forest officials say they hope to make the announcement about which tree is selected by August.
Again, that was Christian Garza reporting. And the Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest Office is also asking people to send in ornaments for the Christmas tree. You can mail them to the Forest Service office in Kamaya. We're following a proposed moratorium on data centers here in Spokane County. Commissioners publicly discussed a proposed 9-month moratorium this week. It was proposed by Commissioners Amber Waldrop and Chris Jordan. The proposal comes after Avista announced it was in talks to support a 500-megawatt data center, and these talks have now been paused. County leaders say they want to make sure they have the right rules in place before any large project moves forward.
I know that some people feel that moratoriums aren't necessary, but I would hate to see a data center come into Spokane County without any rules of the road that are influenced here by Spokane County stakeholders.
Other commissioners worry a moratorium could send the wrong message, potentially discouraging companies looking to invest in Spokane County. Well, the price of a traditional wedding is pushing more couples to think smaller. Courthouses across the country are seeing a surge in ceremonies as budget-conscious newlyweds skip the big venue.
By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride.
Love is in the air at the historic Santa Barbara County Courthouse in California, as more couples seem to be choosing to say a simple I do at municipal buildings and I don't to expensive venues.
We saved money this way, and I think venues too is really stressful to book and things like that. So for us, it was easier just to get the license and then come here and do it this way.
And it's not just Santa Barbara. Couples are lining up to get married at the Beverly Hills Courthouse and then walk to City Hall for photos. And for many, the price is right for the standard civil ceremony.
A license and ceremony is $204, so it's very affordable. We haven't raised prices in many years.
Melinda Green is the chief deputy clerk recorder.
We offer appointments for small weddings for less than 15 people, and we give appointments online. Those are released about 3 months in advance. They book up quickly.
Courthouse weddings saw a spike during COVID out of necessity, but now becoming a coveted spot for brides and grooms. Santa Barbara County even fast-tracking civil ceremonies to meet the demand.
We also offer express weddings. We perform the ceremony at the counter.
For Sky and Jeremiah, the steps outside of the courthouse were good enough to commit to one another forever.
We just wanted an intimate ceremony with just our closest family and friends, so we thought that this is the most beautiful, perfect place to do that.
In Santa Barbara, California, Elise Martinez, CBS News.
All right, we've got more ahead in just a few minutes, so we'll introduce you to the all-new Miss Washington, the issues that matter most to her. And later, want a sweet treat this morning? Well, we've got a special offer to tell you about. Stick around for that.
All right, I am joined by an honored guest. We're so lucky to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
This is Natalie Worthy, the brand new Miss Washington, recently crowned July 11th?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So very new to the job.
Yes.
But it is a job.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about, we see the pageants on TV, but then a lot of times we don't know what happens after that. Give us a little glimpse into what it's like to be Miss Washington day to day.
Well, like you said, it is a job. Being Miss Washington means serving your communities, and I'm blessed to have been in this organization since I was 16 years old. So I've known for years and years what it takes to be a Miss Washington. It means serving your community. It means serving those all across Washington state, and it means amplifying your community service initiative. We are so lucky in this program to have our CSIs, community service initiatives, where we have something that we truly care about and want to promote in our state.
And let's talk about yours. I was reading that you work a lot with kids and with the arts, specifically singing. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. I graduated from the University of Puget Sound last year with my Bachelor's of Music and Vocal Performance. And for the past year, I was working as a private music teacher, teaching people of all ages and abilities how to sing and how to play piano. And my CSI is called Amplify the Arts, Every Student, Every Stage, advocating for the importance of arts education.
What I love is when I was reading a little bit before the interview, you talked about access in giving kids access. It's so important, whatever we're talking about, right? Whether it's traditional schooling, whether it's to the arts. So you're going around the state and really talking about that.
Yeah, one of my goals this year as Miss Washington is to visit all 39 counties in Washington state. Being a title holder, I've heard for years and years that your year is what you make of it. And as Miss Washington, I want to do everything in my power to boost not only my service initiative, but also boost the importance of the Miss America opportunity.
Okay, so you teach singing. Did you want to just roll out something? Did you want to serenade me?
Goodness.
Are we even allowed to ask?
Oh my goodness.
Just a little serenade, maybe. Let's see, it's Christmas in July. Do you want to?
Christmas in July? Oh my gosh, well I heard you were a Christmas fan.
Okay.
So let me see if I can think of something.
I kind of put her on the spot, everyone. That's
just
what we do
a little
here at KREM too.
Ooh.
You think about that, and let's talk about another question. We'll get back to singing. What people I think also don't know is that it's a scholarship pageant.
Yes.
And so you talked about graduating. What's your next step, and how does the scholarship pageant play into that?
Yeah, so my next step is in the fall of 2027. I'll be attending the Ohio State University to achieve my Master's in Arts Policy and Administration. Big surprise, I want to get a Master's of Arts, right? It's my passion, it's my joy, and I'm so blessed that walking away from the state pageant, I walked away with $20,000 in scholarships to go directly towards my master's in the next fall.
That is exciting. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to watching your year as it unfolds throughout the state of Washington. I love that you're visiting all the counties.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Some of the rural counties, I think, sometimes feel left out of things.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to go ahead and visit. Well, thank you very much.
Coming up, major cities are dealing with mutant rats. You heard that correct. Mutant rats, rodents that are resistant to poison. Why this is happening, just ahead. The start of the new school year is just 1 month away, and it's about that time to start shopping for school supplies. But some of the items on your kids' list may be much more expensive this year. Jen Sullivan breaks down how much families are expected to spend and ways you can save.
Spending on back-to-school shopping is expected to break records this year, topping $43 billion, according to a new survey from the National Retail Federation. Shoppers plan to spend just over $863 on supplies for students in kindergarten through 12th grade this year. That's about $5 more than last year, according to the survey.
I think there is definitely an expectation that that prices are going to be higher for certain goods.
Mark Matthews with the NRF says the cost of electronics and shoes is driving up prices this year. Here's the breakdown of where that money's going. Electronics, about $293. Clothing, $250. Shoes, $174. And school supplies, about $146. Matthew says the good news is retailers are already rolling out sales and discounts on school supplies. He says that's one way to help save money.
One thing that helps you with is to spread that spending across the entire season, because these are not small sums of money that people are having to spend to get their kids back to school.
College students can expect to spend even more. Shoppers plan to spend an average of $1,400 on back-to-school items for college. That's $111 more than last year. Matthew says the main reason is computer prices.
If we look at computers, we know that chip prices are incredibly high, and that's pushing some of the cost of computers, and that is a big ticket item.
Many top manufacturers offer payment plans for computers, and some even offer student discounts between 5 and 10%. That can help you budget and save. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Well, thanks so much for joining us here on this Sunday. It's time to get a look at the forecast, where temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler compared to where we have been at previously. We are going to see highs in the mid-80s, which is definitely some relief, but also still on the warmer side. It will be mostly sunny out there, as winds are going to be a little bit calmer as well, yet we're still dealing with some haze and some wildfire smoke out there. So in our future tracker, it is going to be a mostly clear day for the inland Northwest. Plenty of sunshine. The only thing we have to worry about are some hazy conditions up toward parts of Northeast Washington and in the North Idaho Panhandle. But we hang on to a mostly dry and clear forecast throughout the day today. We'll watch for some partly cloudy skies for tomorrow and the start of the new work week. Winds throughout the day today are going to be calmer compared to where we were at yesterday when we were seeing those strong gusts. It is still going to be a little bit breezy at times, but wind gusts through this evening will be closer to about 20 miles per hour compared to yesterday's 40-mile-per-hour winds. As we move forward here and take a look at your temperatures, we're in the mid-80s for Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, upper 80s for Moses Lake. We've even got some low 90s south to Richland, so cooler compared to where we've been at for the past week. As we take a look across the nation, we're looking at a high of triple digits for Phoenix, Salt Lake, as well as Denver, Dallas, Tulsa, and Lincoln. So across the United States, it is definitely hot. We sit in the mid-80s here. Doesn't look too bad. We're looking at upper 60s for San Francisco. As we move forward into next week, what we're preparing to see here is the continuation of a dry forecast. So we will see plenty of sunshine. Temperatures by the end of this coming week are going to climb back up into the upper 80s to low 90s. So trending still a little bit more warmer than our normal, but overall we're preparing to see a calmer week here ahead of us as far as those weather conditions go, especially after a very active past week. Now, you can always stream our live local radar as well as get updates on the forecast whenever you like for free on the KREM 2 app. You can download it on your TV or your phone.
Well, there's a rising pest control problem facing many cities. Rats and mice are growing resistant to common poisons. Michael George spoke with the scientists who discovered the so-called mutant rats.
Ask any New Yorker, they've got a strong opinion about rats.
I hate rats. I'm scared of them.
But that fear may only grow when people learn New York and many other cities are now home to mutant rats. A Rutgers University study found the DNA of rats and mice is literally changing. The rodents are growing resistant to rat poison.
It's a health concern. That's actually the main reason why we always have to keep an eye on the mice and the rats.
Entomology professor Chong-Lu Wong and researcher Jinjia Yu conducted the study, trapping mice and rats in urban environments and testing them. They found about 70% of mice and 35% of rats have the mutation.
Which means these mice would less likely to be killed by eating the poison and will survive the treatment.
And that means controlling rat populations will only get tougher. More than just pests, they also can spread allergens and disease. Rat poison was the most effective way to fight back.
They've been using it for decades. Of course. They need to find something else.
I don't know what to do, but yeah, something.
The study's authors say while some less effective poisons can still be used, cities should explore alternative strategies. New York has reported success with a simple idea, requiring all trash be put in sealed bins.
Everyone should be aware of these creatures and we need to put more efforts, try to manage them.
In cities always changing, the rodents are adapting too. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Coming up, there's nothing better than a donut on a weekend morning. And Krispy Kreme has a limited time flavor for you to try. More on that in 2 minutes. Hey, before we go, we wanted to let you know that there's a new limited treat here in town.
Yeah, that's right. Krispy Kreme has a special blueberry donut this weekend, and today's actually your last chance to get one. So fun fact, July is National Blueberry Month.
All right, well, the timer is on then, Jenny. Maybe you have to get over there right after the show or so, and maybe you got to go ahead and get you one or maybe a dozen or maybe a couple of dozen, but you can get a dozen blueberry donuts just for $5. That's a pretty good deal. 12 donuts for $5. They're basically giving those things away.
Seriously, and you know, there's nothing better than like a warm, fresh Krispy Kreme donut.
Yeah, always looking for the hot
good.
sign, you know?
Yes.
I wonder if they actually have blueberries in them, like little blueberries.
I wonder, yeah, or if it's just like the flavoring. They were that kind of cool color inside, so if you want something different or you love blueberry, there you go.
Krispy Kreme actually is where I fell off, you know? When I was on a big health kick in the early parts of this decade.
Yeah.
I was doing a story out there, drove by it. I said, I'm gonna have some discipline. I said, I'm gonna drive by it.
It's gonna be okay.
Later that day, this was in the pandemic, early in the pandemic.
Oof.
And I was like, well, let me go ahead and swing back around. I got a dozen for one single man at the time. And guess what? They were all demolished.
That's okay.
I want to say thank you, though, for joining us here on Up with KREM. We certainly appreciate you. Thank you, Jenny, for tolerating me as well. And we'll see you later.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody.